All right. Welcome to another episode of Mornings with Movers. I believe we're up to like episode 56, which has been amazing ride. Cliff and Phil couldn't be here today, but I got my main man, Ryan Marsh, in the building. What's going on, Ryan?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. So yeah, what's been going on in the industry from your take?
For my take, really, obviously talking to all the moving company owners that, not just myself, but our entire team does. It seems like, and again, across all markets, things are starting to pick up a little bit.
Mm,
Uh, you're having a lot of great conversations of, hey, our trucks are running. We're booking out 30 days at this point, and a couple customers, I would say, but mover I spoke with last week, they're booking 60 plus days out. Now,
mm,
again, more kind of East Coast market, I would say. But they're also well diversified too, which is obviously a major piece, right? So it seems, at least from what we're gathering, is things are starting to pick up.
yeah.
I don't know what you're hearing on over on your side at all. I mean, of course, yeah, there's some agents that are out there, or some movers that are still kind of still living in the 2023 world, I would say. But I think a big piece is I'm hearing all about, companies say, I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. Right? We all want more leads.
Yeah. And I
Just
was
they're just
thinking,
not there. You can't create them out of thin air. You can't what have you. But so my challenge has been, speaking with a lot of these companies is how are you treating your current leads? Like
mhm,
say you get 10 leads in, how many of those are you closing? Two or three out of the 10? What is happening to the other six, seven, and eight? Well, what's going on with those leads? Are you
yeah.
following them? How are you attacking them? Um, and basically what's the result of that? I mean, if leads are going to continue to be, I want to say minimal, but not as a plethora as they were, we've got to find a way. I say they more or less have got to find a way to stay on top of those leads. I mean, speed a lead for one, get a hold of them, follow up. What's the process look like? And I've had a lot of conversations this week on that, and a lot of eye-opening conversations. I would say because people used to, hey, we get 100 leads and we just boom 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 boom, we fill our trucks and we move on. That's not the case. Again,
Yeah.
leads are a little shy at this point. So the ones that we do get, we've got to own every single one of those things.
Definitely. No, you always give me stuff to think about. Like I told you about this before the meeting. You got me thinking my mind innovating again. But no, you're right. And I was thinking two different things when you mentioned that. One, I used to believe, that logic where wherever you are is by choice and it's up to you to do something. But in some cases, I had the real kind of realization that sometimes it's not in your good faith because if your fate is based on the next person, and that's hey, that's in business. If you're trying to get your DOT number because hey, I want to get to that next level, I want to make millions of dollars, and you're waiting on DOT to approve you. Again, your fate is in the next person's hands. So it's like, oh, you are where you are, but wait a second. It's all about whose finger is on that button that just says, okay, I'm going to press the button so you can move forward. And then the second thing was to bring the leads. So I think it's two ways you need to approach that. If you're only getting X amount of leads a month, you one need to know, especially if you have a team of salespeople, if you're not the one doing sales, you want to make sure that you have a ratio. How many leads per rep is are assigned to a rep. So we used to have a way where we say, hey, I don't want any rep having more than 25 open leads because in that case, you just don't have enough time to do a diligent follow-up. The phones are ringing randomly. So you have to pick those calls up, take those information. You still have to do follow-ups with the previous customers. You have the new warm leads coming in the morning.
Yep.
There's just no way for you to constantly keep following up and then diligently following up at the right time. Hey, Miss Ann, I'll call you back at 1 o'clock today, but you have another call at 12:45, or you have another call at 1:30, depending on how you schedule your appointments. And if you got so many leads open, there's no point. So we used to say, well, hey, you know what? Ultimately, for the month, we want this rep. We assume this rep is going to have about 100 150, 175 leads. That out of that 175 leads, if their booking percentage is around 30%, just throwing a number out there, I expect that they're going to book at least 30 to $40,000 by themselves. Okay, so now you have the projections, you have the scope, you have the metrics, and now you start to see, well, okay, well, if they're only averaging 30%, can I get that up to 35 so I don't have to put so much effort in making sure they get 175 leads, and instead they get maybe 150 leads and do the same amount of work? So you have that baseline, then you make improvements on that baseline. Then you figure out from a marketing standpoint, why do we have to go through 175 leads? Are a lot of these leads bad?
Great. I mean, I don't look at the number of leads we're getting. I look at the leads we have and what are we doing with those leads? How are we basically handling those with kid gloves? It'd be amazing to get 175 plus leads, right? It'd be awesome. But again, I feel like the more that we have, the more we tend to kind of blow through. So to me, it's prioritizing the leads that are coming in. Which ones are
Mhm.
super hot? Which ones don't have potential? Again, and we should be able to figure that out and what have you. And kind of back to the other point of the 25 leads in the queue, with the follow up and the phone calls and things like that. I mean, I hate to always be the guy that talks about technology, but that's where technology comes in and will allow a sales rep to have more than 25 in the queue, because technology that's out there, again, not throwing names out there by any means, but there's companies out there that literally they can do this automatic follow-up for you. So lead comes in, boom, instantly that customer is being talked to, or at least getting a text or an email. And same thing, once you send a quote out, if a customer does not respond within 24 hours or whatever you want to set the time frame for, more contact goes out. So all those, there's just so much little pinpricks when it comes to the follow up and how to follow up and when to follow up in the moving industry, that we really got to automate these tasks, and moving companies
Mhm.
doing that daily. That's why they have reps that are closing at 60+%, which I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to say that when I started seeing these results, I'm going, no way, who's closing 60%, 60 to 70% of leads? And I'm not talking just on a local basis. I'm talking about historically overall. So local, intra, commercial, and interstate, right? Because interstate, more harder leads to close. Good closing ratio in interstate for me used to be about 45%. I thought I was really, really strong there. But we've got to start at some point leveraging this technology to allow us to basically dig deeper into our leads, have a clear cut and dry process, as well as to how we follow up, how we tackle, and how we handle these things. And I think the biggest thing, and we'll be talking about this next week. We're doing a little sales showdown with a buddy of mine over at our company, of how we used to handle those leads. Basically finding out the why. And I think we talked about this a little bit on the last episode or the previous one, of the more we can find out why the customer's moving, right? Digging into the hot buttons, finding out the why. Are they happy to be moving? Are they mad that they have to move? Or they don't have a choice because they have to move? The more we can dig into that, the more options we can provide the customer, which ultimately is going to lead them to the path of the most success. And by doing that, providing the options, you're also going to kind of take the mind away from price, or give them
Mhm.
options where it's not, hey, this mover's $5,000, you're $6,000. Well, I'm taking price. When consumers or customers are shopping price, we're just not adding the value that we need to do, as movers with our customers, if that makes a little bit of sense there.
No, that
But
definitely makes sense. And that speaks great volume, especially and again, I do a lot of blogs. I know Supermove does their blogs as well, and that's one of the main things in sales technique is, hey, sell value over price, you know.
and
But
the
it's
more
also
options you can give, like, it takes away from that price. So if you have just moving company A that, rips through your home, they don't, talk about how they're going to protect, pad the home, the furniture, the this, the that, what have you. They don't dive into the actual process and just slaps a price. Well, if you're doing that as well, so I look at me as if I was getting two quotes and I had basically the same, they come to my house or do a virtual, they do a quick look, they don't dive in and find out why I'm moving this, that, or what have you. And then both companies just send me a price, and one's $5,000, one's $6,000, of course I'm going with the $5,000 quote, right?
hmm
They both show me this, both give me the same piece. But imagine you have company A that comes in, does a quick virtual or quick walkthrough, throws you the $5,000 price, right? Just very basic. Oh, okay, 5K. Then you have, Max Moving Company comes in, and before we do the virtual, we've already had conversation, right? You know that I'm moving. You know that the husband's taken off and has already left a month ago. The wife is home with the kids, right? She's trying to pack. She's trying to this. She's trying to manage the sports game. She's got school going on for the kids, trying to do all of this. So you add in a little bit of packing. You talk about the packing and the time savings. Um, you actually talk about padding up all the furniture, wrapping the furniture, how we're going to use pads on the wood product. And then if, hey, any leather, we're not going to use the nice stretch wrap because this is what stretch wrap can do in hot climate, on this, on that. You really just kind of go over the moving basics, moving 101 is what I would say. Talk about how our guys pack a dish pack. Talk about how we wrap things. Just talk about what we do. And then you end up giving them a price of $6,000. What do you think that in that customer's mind, they're thinking, oh, the first company, are they going to pad and protect my furniture? Are they going to try to protect my house? Did they go over the delivery window? I hate using the term delivery spread because what's that mean? But how did we explain the process, I would say. And then they're looking at Max Moving Company going, wow, they're $1,000 more, but they're going to pad, they're going to protect, they're going to this, they're going to that, they're going to this. Man, there's so much more value there. Like it almost takes the price out of the equation. And I hate to use the word upselling as well, because I just hate that term, but more upvaluing, right? So the more that we can find out what the customer needs and what their situation is, we can suggest things that we do, suggest services, and not even just pop that in there, right? So you're upvaluing the piece and allowing them to kind of trigger their brain to say, man, hey, Ryan's right, or Dwight's right. Like, how am I going to have time to pack this? We're moving in 3 weeks. I've got 270 cartons in my home. How am I going to pack that? And I even break it down more. Hey, dish pack takes 35 minutes to pack. You've 15 dish packs. So 15 times, and that's at a professional level packing, right?
See, and the crazy part is, like I said, you got me thinking, Ryan. But that's one of the things that I've done as well in the past, where what do you do? Oh, so we would ask the questions in the beginning of our initial call to really make the customer think, one, hey, so we offer flat rate packing services, got away from the hourly packing services. Just to one, make it valuable for the customer because they knew what their price was right out the gate. There's no, oh, well, how long do you think the package is going to take? Well, we estimate 5 hours and it takes 8 hours because of whatever. And now the customer's like, oh, damn, I got to pay hourly for the packet and I got to pay hourly for the movement. No, let's take the
We did
guessing
it by
game
the
out of
box,
it.
man. We did it by the carton.
Exactly. So we
And
started doing it that way too, where it was like, hey, we know how long it should take our guys to pack. If they want to BS while they're out there and milk the time because, maybe they want more hours, where that's not on the customer, shouldn't be on the customer.
yep.
So with that being said, it made it easier for up value and using your words, where we said, hey, did you know one that we offer flat rate packing? We can give you a packing quote today. If you're interested in having your stuff packed as well as moved. And even if they said no, okay, we're not going to stop there per se, but we'll stop there for the moment, because we want to ask all the other questions. But when we get the quote generated for the moving services, we would also already have a pre-made out quote for the packing services because that's how our chart was set up.
Yep.
We said, hey, you know what? If you went with us today, we can get you our packing and moving bundle would be this price. And I hope nobody listening, but we could probably get that down for you as well if that was something you were looking to commit to today. And for the movers, hey, that's just a sales technique, but and I'm not teaching you anything y'all don't know already. But that's one of the things where you're like, okay, you know what? Even if you have to devalue your packing services a little bit, but keep your core moving services where it's at, sometimes it comes with that territory. Hey, if you choose our packing and moving bundle, we'll give you $100 off. Technically, you're only giving them $100 off of your packing services. And that brought me up to I was reading something about Apple the other day, and Apple was like, we would never ever like really devalue our main product, which is their iPhones, but they would
Expensive.
yeah, they would devalue everything else around it. So they would rather do a bundle, whereas right now for the iPhone 15, they're doing like, oh well, as long for the iPhone 15, you can get a tablet and a watch each for 99 cents right now.
Ooh.
So As long as
yeah,
you
you're paying 10 grand for the phone.
exactly. So they was like, yeah, we would devalue everything else, all the other products around it, and just to hype up that product around it. And I was like, okay, well, same thing with moving. Hey, you know what? We're not going to devalue the moving, but if you need junk removal, you need cleaning services, you need paying services, I ordered I offered the whole shebang for home services.
Yep.
And you could devalue those by saying, well, hey, if you bundle it, I can give you something off here because either way, you're still getting two services out of it or three.
I tell you what worked for me, and I don't, it worked for me in my market is again, back to the kind of the upvaluing piece. Every time I would see a customer, right, or provide a quote, I gave three options every time. Even if they said, Ryan, I'm going to pack everything myself. So of course I would send them that PBO quote, but for ones that don't, pack by owner, right? So
Mm-hmm.
really just loading the truck, driving, unloading. There's your price. But I'd also try to find out like what are the hot buttons, right? Where's their crystal? Where's their um, dishes in the kitchen, all that stuff. And so my secondary quote would be on a lot of the tricky things, right? So mirror cartons, glass tabletops, all of the kitchen. So for simple purposes here, 3K for a pack by owner, right? Then I have one for maybe 4K, right? Would be partial pack. And then I have another one that would be 5,500. So, and again, it's just almost that mentality of, or psyche sort of say of, it almost kind of attribute that to car payments, right? A lot of people go into a dealership, oh, I want to be 250 a month, right? And then, the car salesman gets you to 300 and you're like, I don't really like that car, but I can do 300. And then you find the car that you really like, it's 350. But then you're like, man, I can get leather for 400 and a sunroof for 425. Next thing you know, you're $500 a month and you walked in the dealership trying to be 250. Same kind of piece here is if you just show a pack by owner quote and then a full-fledged carrier pack full service piece, there is a massive gap there. Almost sticker shock where it's like, whoa, gosh, 3 grand to 6 grand. But if you can show a couple incremental stair steps in between, customers, at least what I've seen, again, it worked for me in my market in the Northeast, is customers would go from the 3K to, oh wow, 4K, that's not bad. Oh shoot, and you know what? If you pack the rest of the house for an additional 1,000, like the customers are upselling or upvaluing themselves because
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of stair stepping a price rather than hitting them with a 3K and a 6K price point. And I do this across the board. So most of our moves had packing. We might have only did 10 mirror cartons on a particular move, but when the customer said nope, but guess what? I got an extra $800 worth of mirror cartons out of them. But they
Mm-hmm.
saw the value. I didn't upsell them. I just gave them the option. And then a lot of times you follow up after a week or so of booking that move, check in on their packing, send them the video. Hey, show me where you're at with the packing, this, that. Oftentimes, more than none, they say, hey, you know what? Can we add a little bit more packing here? Can we add just a little bit? And that's where you can kind of do a little give and take as well and say, hey, I understand you want this little bit more packing, but what if full service is a heck of a lot easier. You got the kids running around, you got the dogs, you got school, you got sports. If I can check with my manager, I didn't use that check with my manager term, right? Because I was the one that was providing that piece. But if I can maybe get the full service moved down a little bit, would that interest you? So you don't have to worry about any packing? Oh yeah, let's see what you can do. Great. Whack a couple $100 off that. Goes a long way. And now instead of a $800 pack job, it's a $2,300 pack job, and you just increased your overall revenue on that particular move over a couple grand. Add
Mm-hmm.
for all the moves. I mean, imagine if every move you did, if you can get extra $500 to $800 out of it, that's a lot of revenue. And say you're doing 2,000 moves a year, that's major. But
But
again,
it's
it's
but movers have to mention that piece, and that's the thing why a lot of people are shying away from scripts or one don't know how to create their own scripts is because they go off the top. Oh, the customer called, they want moving services. Well, I just got to get them a quote. I'm not going to think about all up value, and I'm not going to think that, oh snap, we offer storage, we offer packing, we offer unpacking, we offer cleaning, we offer all this stuff.
oh
And
yeah.
in my mind, I know it, but I'm so tunnel vision right now because
Sales reps, they want to go ahead and book that virtual survey, book that whatever, and then just shoot the customer the estimate, right? Without really digging in deep. And this is where I feel like, you keep hearing, oh, we need more leads. Well, you're blowing through the leads that you have. If we dive into every single lead, like it's the last lead that we're ever going to get, you'll be closing 60% of those leads. And again, leading with the questions that we ask, right? So one of the first, when I took the call in, if I'm sitting in the office, whatever, the phone rings, I'm looking for a move. Well, of course, right? They're not looking for plumbers or electricians calling a moving company. We know they're looking to move, right? But my first thing is, oh, that's awesome. How exciting. Are you excited to move? It was one of the first questions I asked. And that really set the tone of the call because it was the yes, I am super excited. We just bought a new vacation home. This, that, what have you. So I knew at that point, hey, vacation home. Are they looking to downsize a little bit? Are they going to potentially need some storage? Or there's some other pieces that we can do that I could go ahead and ask questions on? Or the other side of the house was, no, it's not exciting. I'm going through a divorce. So that brought up a whole nother set of questions that I would ask and dive and dig into. Or it was, yeah, I guess it's kind of exciting, but it's going to be a little stressful because, husband already moved away. He's in the apartment at the new place. He had to leave early for work, right, in a different state. So I'm kind of stuck here with the kids trying to manage this entire move. So at that point, man, you know what? You're going to need some packing assistance, I would assume. Do you need a cleaning crew? Because once the guys leave the house, you got to typically clean that house up for the final walkthrough for the next buyer. So to me, it was like, oh man, like I can really, the more we can find out, again, back to that why, the more we can tailor that moving program specifically for the person that's moving. And again,
Mhm.
if you do that today, and I just tell everybody, just test it out with one lead, really dig in, ask the questions, find out why they're moving. Are they excited? And you don't have to ask, why are you moving? But hey, you excited to move? Start
Yeah,
off that basic question and feed off the reaction of that because it's going to go one of two ways. Either, yeah, I'm really excited because I'm retiring, and you know what, we're going from this big house down to a small house. Oh, hey, decluttering services, potentially storage, right? Um,
I think
or
my biggest, I think my biggest sell was a four package job where basically the day one we sent out packers. Day two we were able to send out the junk removal team as well as the moving team. Try to kind of have them like offset each other a little bit. And then basically after that, I would send my cleaning team will go out and they would just, have a whole separate team. And it was just a way, one, just to keep everybody working, everybody busy, you
yeah,
know.
partner with a local cleaner that's in town that you know what they can go through and do a. I'm not saying some deep dive crazy clean, but say, hey, listen, I do 2,300 moves a year, right? That's the other thing. We got to start looking outside the box and partnering with other companies. I partnered with painters. I partnered with cleaning companies. Driveway sealers, for goodness sakes. Like I had contacts for all of that. People that did landscaping, right? So typically before people are, getting ready to sell their house, they're trying to do a little bit of painting. They're trying to do some landscaping. They might need cleaners or whatever the case was. I had all these in my back pocket, and literally, I would just, bump phones with the customer and say, "Hey, make sure you call Leah over at All Star Cleaning. She's phenomenal. She's great, and for a house this size, she's $200-300 just to do a high level. She's going to vacuum. She's going to wipe down. She'll do your oven. She's do your baseboards, but all the basic things that need to be done when you exit the home."
You better than me. I did all that in-house. I said, hey, what you need? All right, I'll be on the cleaning job.
Yeah,
I'll have
hey,
my son.
yeah, if you've got a company that can handle that and what have you, like absolutely. But again, I was in the moving business, not the cleaning, not the painting, not the contracting, not the landscaping. But I had the incredible contacts and network that did do that. So again, referral piece, and you can also get a little creative there where, hey, you're as a sales rep, you link these or ink these partnerships. That's additional revenue for the sales rep as well. Hey, every
Mhm.
time I book a cleaning service, I know I'm getting 50 to 75 bucks. So it enticed me to really kind of push that a little bit, not push it, but offer that as a service.
Yeah,
Um,
I was a
that and
jack
your
of
coach.
all trades. Let me go on YouTube. How do you cut that wall? Good.
That's it.
Okay.
I couldn't be everything to everybody, but again, back to that network that absolutely could. If I personally couldn't do it, I knew somebody that could. Um, and it works super well. But again, back to that options, because how many other companies are doing that? I know there's quite a
Mhm.
few companies that do it and do it well, but how many are truly diving into that? Again, leading with a
But it's
question.
asking those questions.
I mean,
It's just like,
how many moving companies have I hate to use the word, I hate the word script, right? Because each customer individually is going to be different, but knowing what questions to ask based on specific situations and scenarios, we've got to do. And there is technology out there that does that now. So based on a customer situation scenario, it basically dives into the questions that you need to ask to get the answers to provide that level of service for the customer. It's really,
Yeah.
really good. But
Now, the thing is, I've heard some people trying to put that on their website, which I highly don't recommend. And I know there are some long embed forms or lead capture forms where they make it like, I guess, 1 to 2 pages or whatever the case is. And the first page is, hey, and I don't mean 1 to 2 pages as long page forms. I mean like short forms where they say the first page is what's your name, what's your phone number, blah, blah. And then step 2 is where you're moving from, where you're moving to, blah, blah. And then thank you. But there are some long embed forms that actually go into depth. Hey, how much stuff are you moving? How many kids you have in your house? How many, and it's like
I'm
one.
not, again, I know there's a lot of companies that do this, but me personally, I'm not a fan of having the customer tell us, right? Because quite frankly, do they know what information that we need to be successful? Do they know the process of moving? Now, yes, there's customers that are out there that have moved 15 times in their life. They know it probably better than some sales reps, I would say, with military folks and, people that have high powered jobs that every year moving across the country. They get it, they got it, they understand it, but the average consumer does not understand our business, right? Just like I don't understand plumbing. I don't understand HVAC. When I call an HVAC or plumbing company because I need service, I'm hoping that they ask me the appropriate questions so I can give the information based on what I need done. But to have a customer tell us what they're moving, uh, they don't understand. Customers do not understand pounds, weight, cube, any of that stuff. And
Oh
quite
yeah, that's always
frankly,
been the
I
funny
learned a long
conversation.
time ago, like the one customer was like, well, how many boxes am I going to need? And after I did my survey, I'm like, 211. And they're like, there is no way I have 211 boxes in this house. I think I got like 50 or 60 boxes. And I'm like, you have that just in book boxes because you have a library in the freaking basement here. But the average consumer just has no clue. So we
Hmm.
need to lead by the questions that we ask to grab as much information as we can rather than origin, destination, how much you're moving. And I just saw on one of these moving company sites the other day, I'd be careful how I say it, because I've been talking to the guy back and forth, but the crew showed up and the place was an absolute hoarder's disaster, bed bugs, cockroaches, and this company was, I don't want to say complaining, but like, look what we walked into. This is unbelievable. My question was, how did you even get there? How did you quote the move and then your crew shows up and the place is a friggin' disaster? Like you need to like have suits and masks and gloves. I just light the house on fire. It was gross. But my thing is
Yeah.
like, how did you even get there? Well, it was done over the phone because this company does not have time apparently to do virtuals or in homes. And I get that, but you're sending crews into things that they're just not aware of. So the customer's like, yeah, I got a three bedroom home. I'm just looking to move, 3 beds, some dressers, and some boxes. Like, I, nothing is accurate there. So they relied on the customer information, customer intel to book that move. They spent the time, the resources, dispatched a crew out there, and they're like, nope, we're not touching this job.
Now,
That's
if
it.
it's an item move where they're saying, even though I got a 3 bedroom, I'm not moving everything. I'm just, moving my room because I'm separated from whoever's in the house. You
Oh,
might.
I did phone surveys, consumable shipments, or you get those calls. Hey, man, I just have a queen bed that, is on the second floor. I need it moved to the first floor because I'm older, I'm this or I'm that. That's fine, but I would still send them a link and say, I know it's just a queen bed, but hey, queen beds are all this, that, headboard. Do you mind just kind of walking me to the bedroom, from the front door of your home, walk me up to the bedroom with the virtual piece, and this is just, you send a button, it goes to the customer, right?
Yeah.
They click on it, they do that. So for many reasons, one, I do want to see the bed. Two, I want to see what the lay of the land is so I can tell my crew. You never want to set your crew up for failure, but also I'm looking in that house to see, is this place disgusting? Is it clean? What are we walking into? I see too many times on these moving company sites that, oh, guys walked off the job. There's bed bugs, cockroaches, like big, massive moves. I'm like, how does nobody know this?
Yeah.
How are
No,
you
and
sending crews in?
and guys, for those that's listening, Live Switch Contact is out there for you guys. They make it super simple. You just send as simple as sending a text to a customer, and they click on the text link, and automatically their video is being broadcasted. It don't get any more simple than that. They don't have to download anything. And they're just recording their home. You guys can do it when they get to the job. If you send them a link for that particular customer and just copy that URL for that video and put it on that customer's profile. So for future reference, you have that information. So it's definitely, if you don't have a video survey for your company, I would say definitely looking at Live Switch. They make it super, super simple.
Yeah.
I'll have a link below the video on YouTube. And yeah, but ultimately, yeah, we've used them, I think, for over two bedroom moves or so like that. We would have the customer say, hey, you know what? I appreciate you giving us the inventory over the phone. What we're going to do is we're going to send you a link. We just want to make sure everything is accurate. We have the right truck, the right manpower, etc. If you could just record your home as soon as you press the button to end the recording, it'll automatically come back to us. You don't have to worry about oh, let me upload, let me send it to their email.
No, but this all it comes down to, it benefits the customer and it benefits the moving company. It benefits the crew. Like, we
Hmm.
want to be accurate, right? Nobody wants to, and again, tied into to reviews and whatnot. If a customer says I'm moving 2 bedrooms worth of stuff and you get there and it's a whole house, you might have sent a 2-person crew versus a 3 or a 4, right? Because you're thinking, oh, it's only a couple thousand pounds that we're moving. It just ultimates, it helps tighten the ship, sort of say. Helps
Exactly.
you book a hell of a lot more moves. And if you get that blowback and feedback of, well, you're just not going to take my word. Well, no, I want to take your word. But again, I also want to be super accurate. I don't want to quote you $1,000 and then we get there and it's a $2,500 move just from a quick glance at things. It doesn't solve anything. You're not getting moved because you don't want to pay the 2,500. We just dispatched a crew. We're not getting paid for any of this stuff as well. And we could have put somebody else in your slot. Like, come on, I just feel like we've got to do a better job as an industry of really digging into the customer, finding out the whys, and literally going through the steps. Let's bring back the basics of what it was again, but leveraging technology, right? Bring it back to the older days where, I don't want to say I got to be careful how I say this, but no, we'll just leave it off the table. I'm not even gonna. We'll just leave it off the table. Just go back to, I don't want to say the old school method, right? But leveraging technology, but some of the old school pieces where it's like we take the time with the customer. We want to get to know the customer. We want to see what the customer has to move. Is it all
Hmm.
corrugated cardboard pressed pieces or is it solid wood pieces? Like, and ultimately, like, you want to talk about retention of crews and drivers, we got to start doing a better job for those guys as well. Sending these drivers and crews into disasters, or when they think it's going to be a 4-hour day and it turns into a 10-hour day on a Friday when it's 90 degrees outside, is not good for the morale of the crew. So again,
Nope.
back to the live switch piece, like, absolutely. I leverage the daylights out of live switch, right? And not only that, I'd watch the video again after I did the survey just to make sure I didn't miss anything. But then I would also send it to the crew the day before so the crew can actually see what they're getting into the next day. Because, and you know what, I oftentimes found that I missed a couple things, or I was a big advocate of putting what equipment I thought, what floor protection, this, what to do. Our crews got to the point where they're like, hey, Ryan, guess what, it turned a little competition, like, hey, you missed this here, hey, we found this, or hey, how'd you miss that spin it piano, right? So just again, and the more we can be transparent with the whole entire process, with the customer, with our sales team, with ops, but ultimately the crew, the better oil or better running machine that everybody's going to have.
So it's two things that go to that piece that Ryan's mentioned, everybody. One, systems and processes. We as owners, a lot of us wear way too many hats in the organization, and we're not documenting all this. So all that we talking about, all that we talked about for 56 episodes now, it's so many gems for people to be implementing, but then they feel like I just need to get the job. I just need to get in the field. I just need to do the job. I need to make the money. But all that has a process, all that has a system. And if you want to be, go from low six figures, because there's no reason why you shouldn't make six figures just accidentally in this business, to seven figures, ultimately that's going to have a process and a system. And if you have from your sales team who's doing virtual surveys, who's writing up the estimates properly based on the process that you've implemented, who's then passing it on to operations, who's doing a secondary check before the day of the move, who's then passing it on to the movers, who's then looking over everything when they get to the job and say, oh, well, yeah, this stuff still look accurate. The house isn't disgusting. They're going to do the job the way you need them to do the job. Oh, snap, I got a 5-star review because the crew's morale was where it needs to be because they knew what they were getting into. Now it circles back to you, where now when you get that phone call from a customer, the customer's like, oh, I just wanted to call you and maybe your heart drops because you're thinking something went wrong. And they're like, no, I just want to let you know your guys did an amazing job. And you're like, oh, okay. Whoa, that's a load off. I was thinking you was calling about, son got damaged or something, it just circles back to that full circle process of you being fully transparent at the beginning of the call, you following through, the customer gave you the information you needed to be accurate, bring enough trucks, because oh snap, you brought one truck and if you just, cubed it out properly, you would have known that you needed at least another truck to handle another 300 cubes. And now that customer is satisfied because you thought ahead of the game, because you got the video, you realized that square footage required you having two trucks, despite that customer telling you, oh, when I moved in here 20 years ago, we only had one truck.
Yeah.
You have to be the professional, and they're always going to bring it back to you, regardless if, they made the recommendation.
We need to lead. We cannot depend on the customer to basically lead us through the move. They don't know this. They don't have enough awareness of how we do and what we do. And again, we've got to break things down to them. And if you remember, we did a while back, and this is not a super move plug by any means, but the moving experience report. I highly recommend take a peek at that. So just a quick highlight of what it was. We've always asked moving companies, what their thoughts are, what their feelings are, getting data from them, and we base reports on that. This time we got a little creative and said, no, we're not going to ask the moving company what they want, what they expect. We're going to ask the future consumers. So people that have just moved or have planned on moving in the next year, we polled a ton of them and said, what do you expect from your moving company? What type of services? How do you expect to be treated? Basically all across the board. Like, what is your ideal situation? And it was very, very, very interesting to find out that, 72% of consumers want that digital experience. But out of the 72, 60% of that 72 still wants to pick up the phone and talk to a mover. They want transparency was like the number one thing. Transparency and communicate in how they communicate in pricing, service, the whole piece. Like it's just crazy. It's all the things that I feel like we all know, but we need to start executing on. But it's a really cool report to hear like, hey, and these people are potentially someone that you guys are going to be moving here in the next 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So find out what they're looking for, how they're trying to find you, because it's a different consumer nowadays than it was. No, they're not picking up yellow book phone books or whatever you call them things and flipping through, and whoever's got the biggest ad gets the job. It's also not as much who they see most on Facebook or whatever is going to get the job. It's a whole different world out there.
Your reviews are a survey, for example. Look at your reviews when customers give you a 5-star review. What are they giving you a great review on? What are they giving you a bad review on? That's a survey in its own where, you have that managers meeting where you say, hey, yeah, we in the last month, we got 50 reviews. And out of the average of the 50 reviews, it averaged us to be a 4.5-star company. All right, here's what was right. Here was what's wrong. Okay, how can we correct the majority of that wrong so that we can be higher next month? And using that. And again, I know it's a lot of work to implement, but it's the little steps.
Yep.
Time management. Monday or Tuesday every week, we're going to have a meeting at 9 o'clock. I'm scrapping everything else that I need to do on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. because that's going to be the meeting time. And, have building blocks. And again, it's a lot to implement from an owner, but hey, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, we had huddles every morning for 15 minutes. Now, sometimes they went 20 minutes, sometimes they were 5 minutes, but really it was, a sales and ops and finance and ownership. We all just, sat in the front office and, hey, basically sales, what do you have in the pipeline? What type of estimates? What type of commercial? This, that. What are you looking to book? What can we book? Obviously, operations, dispatch is there as well of, hey, this is how much I have in the pipeline. Now, what do we have operationally? What can we fit in where? What are some of the highest margin jobs that we can plug in and backfill with household? And then finance piece kick in like, hey, who owes money? Who owes this? Where are we? Account wise, what have you? And then it was a great just 10, 15 minutes every single morning, getting everybody on the same page, knowing what we can book, what we can't book, what we'd like to book. And then things happen, especially at fast pace. So something might have canceled, right? Late last night when I was out doing a couple surveys, but I just wasn't aware of it yet, even though we did have a really cool moving command center, we'll call it. But those things are missed. So ops had a couple bullet points. Hey, what canceled, what booked, where are we at? Sales had what jobs are in the pipeline, what we like to book, what are we forecasting, and then the back end of finance to kind of tie everything around and take the time, 10, 15-minute huddles
Mhm.
each day to let your sales and ops teams work together along with the finance piece of it is critical. Because I remember when I first got in the industry, and this looking back blows my mind, but at the time, like, oh, I'm a sales guy, right? So I was told, you book, book, book. We don't say no. Book it on the spot, ship it over to operations, let them figure it out.
Mhm.
What's
And
wrong with that picture, right? So I was booking all sorts of stuff. We didn't have the trucks, the manpower, the time, double booking, customer failure after failure, and ultimately it dragged us down. But yeah, I'm out here booking. Everyone's like, "Hey, look at him booking." Well, great, we can't handle it. So again, breaking down the walls between sales and ops, and I know I speak to a lot of companies where it's like, no, the sales team they can't look at the operational board, and operations can't see what's in the sales pipe, and it's like why would you not? Why would you not want that? Break the
yeah,
wall
no,
living in the silos.
there are CRMs obviously out there that we all know that kind of have it that way where you get the extra user in there and the operations people, depending on their accessibility, they can't see the sales piece or sales can't see the operations piece,
They
you
should all
know,
be able to see that.
and
It helped me over time of like, because again, I started off in the sales aspect. I didn't really know ops and dispatch that well. But now when we implemented uh the CRM, command center, whatever the heck you want to call that, it gave me the ability to be like, okay, wow, okay, I can actually look out now and see, hey, I can book here and here because they had a capacity calendar. I knew when I could book, what I could book, and also what I couldn't book. So even though we had capacity on a particular day and we were a unigroup agent, I knew I only had a few qualified because any interstate job you had to have a qualified unigroup driver. So even though I had a driver open and a truck open, the driver that I had wasn't Unigroup qualified. So guess what? I could not book an interstate United move on that particular day. So operations had the ability just to lock that out. So even if I tried to book an interstate job on that day, it wouldn't happen. Or if I had three people and a truck available, I saw I had three crew members, but I didn't have a damn driver. So how am I going to book anything? So
yeah, I
just
used
that
to. It's
see.
one of those things I used to hate. I believe when we used to have when they try to mix match the pipelines for the day, where you'll have a three-man crew out one place and a two-man crew out the next place. And let's say that two-man crew was obviously a lot shorter than three-man crew job, but then they wanted to book an afternoon job and they try to put, the afternoon job, the three-man job in afternoon, right underneath that two-man because it's going to start sooner. And then kind of like, put a two-man underneath the three-man. And it's like, whoa, 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 why are we mismatching? This doesn't make any sense. You got to go back to the drawing board and have that argument with sales. Like, sales, I understand we need to double up for the day, but we can't be doing this because now it's like, how are we finding a third man in the afternoon
This
to
is
try
where
to
the
join these
huddles.
guys?
This is where the huddles are critical every morning because these are the conversations that can be had. And again, this is more or less the ability for the sales rep to kind of lean in and have the ability to see what goes on in the operational world. And same thing, operations can now dive into kind of sales aspect of it and kind of see how the sales side works. And you'd be very surprised, like you're cross training and you don't even realize it, right? You're teaching sales the operational aspect, which honestly, without if you don't have a tight operations throw everything out the window. If your ops isn't
Hmm.
tight, doesn't matter how much you book because that's just all going to go out the damn window there. So the more, I don't know, just the more visibility and transparency that we can get across all teams, I mean, all teams
Hmm.
internally is only going to benefit the overall company as a customer as well. And I do want to touch on something. I don't know how much we got time here, but you mentioned, I don't know, maybe 5 to 8 minutes ago about getting that customer call. And your first thought was, oh man, is there a claim? Is there this? Like, oh gosh, what's this call going to
Hmm.
be? Like, that's how our company started. When a customer called mid move or after a move, it was all, and I was 100% at fault with this too. I'm like, oh man, like, what's wrong? That's the first thing that came to mind was like, what's wrong? But now I look back at that and we jumped hurdles and hurdles to get away from that. I look back and I'm like, man, that customer calls. How do we know it wasn't good? Are they calling to praise our crew? That's what it should be. When that customer calls, it should be an automatic, like, you know what? They are calling me to thank us, give us a 5-star review. Like, bam, let's go. Not call us and say our guys suck or they broke. Like, to me, it's like a whole cultural BS piece. Like, holy cow. So I'm not sure if that's what you were kind of talking about, but like that customer call, that should be happy. Everybody, every move to me should be a 5-star move. If
Yeah,
you
and
have the process, policy, and the right culture, obviously, in place. But that customer calls, that's not a bad call. That should be a wonderful call.
And I think we was thinking about implementing like a customer satisfaction thing where after the move, post move, because we closed out all of our guys. I know there's a lot of move companies that let their guys close out the jobs, but we were big on, hey, call operations, whether you speak to dispatch, you speak to me, whoever you speak to, we're gonna close the job out. I had two branches when I was in Florida and had the New York branch running. And sometimes, hey, maybe rarely the dispatcher, maybe he didn't answer or the general manager didn't answer. Okay, well, some of the guys that still knew me would be like, oh, hey, these guys didn't answer. Can you clock us out? Because we're trying to leave after this late hour job. Okay, whatever. I'll deal with that part of it later. But I would go through the process. It will be a script. Hey, one is the customer near you. Two is all the stuff, the blankets, all the equipment back on the truck and folded. Okay, yep. Did the customer look at the truck to make sure that there was nothing left in the truck? And was everything put where it needed to be put? Yep, everything's put back where it needs to be put. The customer here, yes, everything was placed where it needs to be placed. Okay, great. Well, how was your move? And at that point, I'm asking that customer around the lead by himself. The movers are in the truck, so they don't have to feel no type of pressure. And some customers will be honest. Hey, you know what? That one guy, he was kind of moving slow, and blah blah, etc. And now that lead one could take initiative and understand that, hey, you know what? Something went wrong. Or the customer's like, no, they did a really great job, blah blah. Okay, cool. And then I would clock the customer out. Say, hey, based on the time, it was 3.5 hours, 4.5 hours, whatever it was. Your estimate is going to be looking at this. Did you want to leave anything for the guys? I know some people frown on tips, but hey, did you want to leave something for the guys? Oh, no, I don't have it. That's fine, no pressure. Okay, here's your bill. And we will clock them out. Versus, the guys saying, oh, well, boss, no, even though the job time says 4.5 hours, we got done in 3.5 hours. Why is there an hour discrepancy? And if the crews are clocking themselves out, that's what you're seeing. That crew left your yard at 8 o'clock and they're done at 2 o'clock, it says, but they only charge the customer up to 1 o'clock. And you're looking at your clock in the office and you're just like, wait.
We used to get all the time, like, let's say not we, but they would on a local move, like, hey, they start at 9 o'clock, and all of a sudden they're done at 1 o'clock, but they didn't get back until 5 o'clock. So
Mm-hmm.
so what happens? Hey, you know what? Hey, they did the move, and the customer or crew is like, hey, we'll clock out, grease the old fingers up a little bit, so more tip, less pay from the customer and what have you. But that's where we again the software that we leverage literally had all GPS tracks. So when they drove, when they left the office, you saw the drive time. When they actually did their work, you knew when they worked. When they were done working and driving back, you had all the visibility of that. So if they continued to do work or they clocked out, but yet we still saw them at the residence, what are they doing there? Why are they still there? They're not hanging out celebrating with the customer. What movers hangs out for 2-3 hours after a job with a customer, right? Something's
Mm-hmm.
going on there. So once we implemented that and brought in the technology, it was more of a like, hey, not a big brother, we're tracking you, but it eliminated all of that stuff. Just completely eliminated because hey, it's like and it was super accurate for the customer. So there was no discrepancy of, oh, well, what time the guys get here? Well, I can tell you pinpoint to a T when the crew got there.
What was
You
your
know,
take on guys dropping guys off on the way back to shop?
I think, and there were certain circumstances where, if they had a doctor's appointment or a kid's baseball game or something like that, long as it was not like, way, way out of the picture. Obviously, always trying to take care of our people first, right? So if they did have to, they couldn't go back to the shop and, sweep out the truck, do what they had to do. If they really had somewhere to go, then yeah, they would go ahead and get dropped off. But no, the crews came in together and they came back together, was the piece. So we didn't really have an issue with that. I can't even think of a time where like we literally had people dropping guys off all across the city, sort of saying
Yeah.
where they were going. So I'm probably not the best person to ask on
Yeah,
that
no,
one.
only reason I asked that is because one, we had reports on our trucks. So one, we did mileage reports because hey, we leased our vehicles, so we needed to keep track of miles. So we did mileage reports, we did fuel reports, and all of that other stuff. And basically, when sometimes we see these guys where it's like, oh well, hey, we're in, let's say Albany, New York, or whatever the case is, and this person lives in Schenectady, New York. Oh well, he needed a ride home, so we dropped him off home or whatever the case is because obviously if he comes back to the shop, he has to hop on the bus. And I'm like, and I'm trying not to be that guy where it's like, that's
That's
kind of on him.
That's where, yeah, I mean, that's where technology, the technology solves all this, right? So whether you have Sam Sarah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Sam Sarah, but Fleetmatics is another one there. And then again,
Mhm.
the softwares, the one that we leveraged had that GPS tracking. So we could see where they were going after the job. And it's like, hey, why are you driving away from the shop? You should come back this way, right? But
Mhm.
same thing with the Sam Sarah. I was real experienced with the Fleetmatics. But literally, you'd see where they're going, see where they stopped, how long they stopped, how long they idled. And it was interesting. We first put all these into the trucks, right? Because it's like guys are leaving the shop at 7:30, 7:45. It's a half-hour drive to the customer's house. They should be there at 8:15, 8:30, absolute max. But they're not getting the customers home until 9:15, 9:30. So where's that 45 minutes every morning going? And so we installed these pieces, and then it was the one day, literally, like all of our trucks were to Dandy Mini Mart, just spread out throughout the state. And it's like, aha, this is why they're not getting to the customer's home on time. They already had their coffee and did their bathroom break basically at the shop, right? Now they're driving 15, 20 minutes kind of out of the way, stopping to get coffee, donut. Like, no, 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 no. All that stuff adds up. You take 15 minutes a day of each employee of kind of downtime, sort of say. I mean, that's over 100K in basically salary that's being paid. So
See,
one,
see, that's why I didn't pay them about an hour after they left the shop. I had a whole different process of say, hey, you know what? If you're going to spend 30 minutes at the shop, fine. I'll pay you for the 30 minutes that you spent at the shop when you got to the office in the morning. But once you're on the road, I'm only paying you by the mile. And that mileage pay that I'm paying you is going to cover you from here to point A and then back. And we still expect you to be at that location within the hour range because we get a customer 8 to 9 window. And if you're showing up at the 8:50 marker, one, I'm going to question that because I know the job wasn't that far. But that's an internal thing. You still got there on time, but it's like, why are you leaving the office at 7:30 and not getting to the job until 8:50?
yeah,
You
all
know,
all these things that again, I starred in this movie back when I first got in the industry, and thank God for technology, right? Because it literally solved all that for us. You couldn't say, oh well, traffic wasn't there. I saw your whole path, and I saw the speed at which you went. I saw when you brake too hard. I saw when that is all. And again, it's there, right? I mean, there's no need to argue, no need to, and it's again, I don't want to use the term big brother, like, hey, we're constantly looking at you. No, it's just safety for all, right? Because there's been many times that, we had big United trucks. A United truck would sideswipe a car on the street, and of course, whoever the car sideswiped, they boom, 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 type in, oh, this particular company I work for, I'm calling, your truck just hit my truck. And before we're like, oh shoot, because we had no visibility. Like, man, did we get? So we're calling all our drivers. Hey, did you hit a car? Did you that? What have you. So once we implemented this technology, the Fleetmatics, the Samsara, what have you, whatever your choice is, we were able to look up and be like, no, this happened on Front Street. Our truck was never even on Front Street. So that was a different United truck, right? So many different benefits
mhm. And
to
we used
leverage.
to,
One, more efficient. Two, I mean, just kind of safety and security of your team, your brand, your trucks, and obviously in the event that you did get into an accident, like you've got the videotape that's either going to help you or it's going to hurt you. But typically, you get an accident in a big truck. I feel like they always think it's our fault, sort of say, but having the video evidence of that is crucial.
exactly. And one of the things that I think was beneficial, especially in dispatch, because we used to have a big TV hanging on the wall in dispatch that just had the tracking of all of the trucks on there. And we can also, if they broke down or they needed a roadside assistance, we can go right on the app and order
Yeah.
roadside assistance as well. But that was a big piece because let's say a crew got done early with a job, and sometimes we didn't assign a double to a specific crew, depending on what the situation was. We would tell everybody, "Hey guys, there's a high chance that there'll be a double. Don't get in the mindset that oh, after your first job is over, especially if it's a short one, that the day is over." So just implementing that in their head, and then basically when a crew got done with a job, we could say, "Hey guys, we're assigning you to this job. It's not that far from you. So just look at the tablet and you'll see the job is on there, etc." And then basically we could see how long it's taking that crew to get from that last destination to that original origin of the second job. And you can let that customer know, hey, just one, we'll tell the crew to call just in case. We'll say, hey, call them an hour in advance. So if you guys need to take a little breather, we're not, animals here.
Yep.
Take a little breather, but give that customer a call and tell them that, hey, you know what, if it's 12 o'clock, we could probably be there between around 1 to 1:30 or so like that, because you would give that second customer a window.
Yeah. Hey,
And,
we took it a step further. Like when our guys would, when they're on their way to the job on their tablet, they'd hit start job. Text message went to the customer immediately, and then literally, you know how the Uber app
mhm.
works. Like you can see where the truck is in play. Customer clicks on that link, bam, they're watching our truck drive to their house.
That is always funny, just like the Uber or the DoorDash.
Just yeah, I mean but that's what our customers expect. It's like I can order a package on Amazon, I can order something through Amazon or anybody, right? And coming from China, wherever it comes from, I know where that package is at every freaking step of the way, right? It's a $3 item, right? Actually, just had a buddy of mine, a ball marker for golf here. I was able to track this thing to a T, every stop, every this, every what have you. Yeah, I've got a couple $100,000 worth of my material on a moving truck, and I have no freaking clue where it is. And I'm
Hmm.
spending 10, 12, 15,000. Like, come on. The consumer expects to be able to track your truck. And I keep hearing, customers dropping air tags in boxes, which movers need to be careful with that one. There is, oh yeah, it's on its way, it's on its way. Yeah, there's an air tag in a box sitting in somebody's warehouse, and they're lying to the customer saying, oh, it's on a truck, it's on its way. Well, customer's like, no, it's been sitting in a warehouse for 3 days. Like, what's up with that? But no,
Yeah.
you should have the ability to have your trucks tracked, just both for internal purposes as well as the customer experience. Then you dial it right in, and you get rid of all those calls that you probably got a ton of times, Dwight, in the office of like, yeah, we'll be there between 8 and 9 and 8:05. Customers like, where's my truck?
Hmm.
And
So,
tying up a coordinator, tying up a sales guy, back to that whole like process piece. Why can't we automate this stuff, right?
yep. And I would say we are at the top of the hour, but I would last leave off with, hey, simplify everything you could simplify in your company. Start with folders. Hey, sales department, HR department, operations department. Simplify everything as possible. Like estimates should not take you 3 days to figure out how much you should charge that customer. And that's just expanding, but it's just like you hear it too many times that, oh, let me call you right back as soon as I get an estimate for you, and we'll go from there, whatever the case is. And it's just like, whoa, you shouldn't even get off the phone with the customer at that point, because it shouldn't take you that long to, if the customer tells you, oh, I got a 3 bedroom, we got 2 floors at this location, we got a back patio, we got this, we got to go 20 miles away and then unload this. Okay, thank you. So I got all your information. I'll call you back in about 5 to 10 minutes when I get an estimate. No. You should already have that in your CRM. You should have generated your estimate if you're going based off of those metrics, unless you're going through a whole detailed inventory. And at that point, you may even want to use live switch. But, get that information right there on the phone and then be able to quote them. Oh, well, we need storage too. Oh, we need packing too. We need to. You should have got all that on the phone when you first got all that information generated. And if you have a system that's, on autopilot, you already know what packing kit you're going to bring. You already know how much that costs. You know how many hours the move is going to take. You know how long the storage portion of it is going to take. You have all of that because you had a system that allows you to get multiple quotes at one time. Some CRMs are very limiting. They may not allow you to get all those quotes all together. So we built out a spreadsheet that allowed us to get that information together. Gave them the quote, and if they said, okay, you know what, those 3 quotes work for us, okay, at that point, let me formulate this into multi-days on a CRM, and I'll send this over to you for your signature.
Yep.
But we are at the top of the hour. Thank you again, Ryan, for joining us. Hopefully, this will be a regular thing depending on your schedule.
You got to get
Anything you
off
want?
these Saturdays, man. It's a holiday Saturday weekend, and we're chopping it up. Now let's yeah, we'll chat offline to see.
Oh
I
yeah,
love part of
definitely.
these, and I love to drop nuggets. And I'll kind of sum up my pieces. For everybody, what kind of watching there is you want to convert more leads, you want to increase your revenue. Find out the why. Find out why the customer is moving. Dig deep. Tailor a program specifically for their move. Provide a bunch of options. And your closing ratio is going to basically go through the roof at that point. Find the why and treat every lead that you currently have as it's your last lead that you're ever going to get, and just watch what happens. So if you're only getting 10 leads, hopefully you're booking 6 or 7 of those bad boys. Because again, leads are just not as plenty as they were. And be the differentiator between how you handle those leads and how you tackle those. And again, to me, it all stems from the why. Find out why Dwight's looking to move and
Mm-hmm.
capitalize on every little piece. Lead with the questions you ask. Ask the customers the questions that they need. Don't expect the customer to basically tell you what they need. Find out
Yep,
why.
definitely. All right, enjoy your week. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Don't be savages out there. Give you guys a day off if y'all gonna respect that holiday on Monday. Um, and yeah, we'll
Those
see y'all
days
next
off in the
week.
moving world.
All right, y'all.